All right, I'm going to hit the gavel hard. You ready? Is staff ready? Everybody ready? Good evening, everyone. Before I hit the gavel, Councilman Rambo has been teasing me about my wimpy gaveling, so let me call to order the Wednesday, November 12th, Town Council for our November meeting. First of all, yesterday, since we now as a town recognize Veterans Day as a holiday, would all of our veterans stand up and let us honor you, please? Please stand just where you are. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And let's give big honors to my friend, my colleague, former Mayor Pro Tem, and until proven wrong, I'm proven wrong, the longest serving council member in the history of Mount Pleasant, Gary Santos. We have plans, and you'll be hearing a lot more about those. So, Gary, don't go far. You're going to, not tonight, but coming up soon. So, item number one on the agenda is prayer by Chaplain Roy, and then Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Councilman Gary Santos. So, please stand.
Would you join me in prayer? Almighty God, I pray for this council meeting tonight. Give each council member wisdom, guidance as they deliberate on items before them. May every decision be righteous in your sight, for our benefit and for your glory. We ask it all in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
Move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, the agenda is approved. Item 4, public hearings, awards, and presentations. A, administration of the oath to the mayor-elect. Is that person? Oh, yeah. Okay, he's here. So if Judge Hess will join me and First Lady Suzette Haynes. So if you'll come on this side, and Judge, if you're good, there we go.
All right, raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I am duly qualified,
that I am duly qualified,
according to the Constitution of this state,
according to the Constitution of this state,
to exercise the duties of the office
to exercise the duties of the office
to which I have been elected,
to which I have been elected,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge the duties thereof,
discharge the duties thereof,
and preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of this state
the Constitution of this state
and of the United States.
and of the United States.
As mayor of the town of Mount Pleasant,
As mayor of the town of Mount Pleasant,
I will equally, fairly, and impartially,
I will equally, fairly, and impartially,
to the best of my ability and skill,
to the best of my ability and skill,
exercise the trust reposed in me,
exercise the trust reposed in me,
and I will use my best endeavors
and I will use my best endeavors
to preserve the peace
to preserve the peace
and carry into effect, according to law,
and carry into effect according to law
the purposes for which I have been elected.
the purposes for which I have been elected.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you all so much. I want to thank Suzette for all she does, not only for me, but for this town. And I want to thank all of you for the privilege of serving as your mayor. And what a privilege it is. And I would not want to be mayor anywhere else but Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. And it's just been the highlight of my leadership endeavors. And now I get to swear in the two newly re-elected council members, Tinky and Council Member Icofano, and our new council members, Ms. Whitaker and Ms. Crosby. If y'all will come forward, and whoever is with y'all that's going to stand with y'all, come forward.
You want me to
I'm gonna help Gary come see. I forgot to tell my family. Come on, Gary.
I'll have them facing you with the seal in the background, and I will face them. I'll try to get over to the side. And I'll try to do as good a job as the judge did.
Yeah.
He did a great job.
So should we
Y'all
gap
need
this?
to move forward and get some people behind you. So Catherine, if you come sort of front and center and we'll sort of come out just a little bit.
Me?
Okay.
I don't know. Kind of quite.
All right, so if everyone will raise those being sworn in, not everyone, those being sworn in will raise your right hand and repeat after me. That's okay. You don't have
Come on, we'll share.
Careful, it's a little hot.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I am duly qualified,
that I am duly qualified,
according to the Constitution of this state,
according to the Constitution of this state,
to exercise the duties of the office
to exercise the duties of this office,
to which I have been elected,
to which I have been elected,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
and I will, to the best of my ability,
discharge the duties thereof,
discharge the duties thereof,
and preserve, protect, and defend
and preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of this state
the Constitution of this state
and of the United States.
and of the United States.
As a council member
As a council member
of the town of Mount Pleasant,
of the town of Mount Pleasant,
I will equally, fairly, and impartially,
I will equally, fairly, and impartially,
to the best of my ability and skill,
to the best of my ability and skill,
exercise the trust reposed in me,
exercise the trust imposed in me,
and I will use my best endeavors
and I will use my best endeavors
to preserve the peace
to preserve the peace
and carry into effect, according to law,
and carry into effect, according to law,
the purposes for which I have been elected.
the purposes for which I have been elected.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for coming. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for being here, young man. Meant a lot. Let's take her to get a picture.
Thank you. Well, they were late. You come over here.
Yeah, let's do that. Wilson, you in here? All good?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. All right, everybody give me a big smile. Right?
Hi.
Thank you.
Can I get a picture of you guys? Good job, boy. Yeah. Good job. Oops, that's too close.
We're doing the whole business.
Oh, you will.
Mia. Hey, Mia. Hey, cheese. Cheese. Yay. 5 years.
He's, that's what he does.
Non-cities right here.
No, 8 years back. He's in. All dressed up.
But it's only
Yeah, I know.
Maybe I should, maybe they should put a little so we'll check on that.
Yeah, well, it'll be fun.
Because I'm on That's been you never know what the two friends in the state legislature can
Good job, guys.
change you do. Yeah, you do.
Quick and easy, right?
You do. And young.
Well, hey there. All right, we are reconvened. Thank you all very much. And congratulations again to everyone. This brings us to item 4C, which is election of Mayor Pro Tem.
I'd like to move that Howard Chapman be elected.
Second.
All right, we have a motion for Howard Chapman. The way this works is that we can take nominations. If there's only one, we'll do a voice vote. If there's more than one, we vote by ballot. Are there any other nominations? All right. We did have a second, right? Yes. All right. Any discussion? All in favor of Howard Chapman as Mayor Pro Tem, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Congratulations, Howard.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And thanks to everybody that voted.
That's a very short acceptance speech, and everyone appreciates it. Item 4D, Charleston County Public Works Transportation Sales Tax Presentation. Yes, sir.
And Mr. Mayor and council members, this is Eric Adams from Charleston County.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Haney, members of council. First, thank you for having us here tonight. We certainly appreciate that. We prepared a quick presentation to talk about the transportation sales tax program holistically and the future of the program. Main things I want to cover is kind of why we're here, what we've learned through the last 20 plus years of the program, a call to action as well as the public involvement that we would like to see. So, as mentioned, the program's been in place about 20 years. But why we're here and what we really want to talk about is we as citizens of Charleston County are at a crossroads. The first sales tax in 2004 is set to expire in 2027. So the question is, do we, the citizens of Charleston County, want to extend that tax or not? So back in September, County Council formed a special committee so that this issue could be discussed in public in a very transparent way, and so that public input could be received. The first thing they asked us to do was reach out to municipalities, to really have what we like to refer to as listening sessions. So we want to come tell you about the program, but the main reason we're here is to listen to your input, understand what you need. You know your community better than we do, and it may be different than what a different area of the county needs. So we want to hear from you specifically. We've learned that over the life of the program, a little over $4.5 billion has been committed to infrastructure projects. And I'll break that down a little bit for you. This just gives you an idea of the allocations in different categories from the 2004 and the 2016 sales tax. It gives you rough percentages. Those percentages are just for historical purposes. It doesn't mean that a future sales tax extension would be set at those exact percentages. They're just for historical purposes. But they give you an idea of the amount of investment in each of the different categories, being Greenbelt programs, infrastructure, which is more thinking of roadway, bike ped, and then public transit. So we know that over the life of the program, we've been able to leverage about $1.2 billion we've been able to bring in from the state and from the federal government because we've had the local option sales tax. So that leveraging of that funds allows for more infrastructure improvements in our community. One of the other facts that we want to make sure everyone is aware of is with a sales tax, we estimate about half of the revenue comes in from non-residents of Charleston County. So whether that be tourists, commuters that live outside the county, that come into the county to purchase things, and also including the money we've been able to leverage through grants and matches. Here's some statistics to kind of give you overall of what we've accomplished. I know you're familiar with Johnny Dodds Boulevard, which this county funded through the sales tax, Isle of Palms widening, numerous intersections, sidewalks. But some of those things that are in common with those projects is those are state roads. A lot of people don't realize over half the roads in Charleston County are state owned. So the state, in their defense, has their hands full, right? They've got the fourth largest highway system in the nation, and we're one of the smaller states. They really have a lot of challenges on their hands. They're behind in maintenance, but also their focus now, if you look at their funding projections, is on interstate system and on bridges. There was a bridge in the upstate about a couple months ago that actually collapsed. So you might argue rightly so, right? They're focusing their funding on interstates where most of the commuters are, and then on the safety of bridges. And the reason I bring that up is the sales tax program is a mechanism for us locally to fill that gap, right? The state has their hands full. They're probably not coming to address capacity issues on a local level or intersections. We do have that ability and the mechanism with the transportation sales tax to kind of fill that void. And it also speaks to just quality of life overall. And that's really what we're talking about. You know, whether it be in mobility, if we're talking about sitting in traffic, if we're talking about bike ped, if we're talking about transit, and also quality of life in green space. You know, do you want to preserve green space and preserve those things long term? Speaking of green space, the Greenbelt program has been extremely successful. 49% of the county's total acreage is protected, we estimate, which is second in all the counties in the state. Transit. CARTA, who manages and operates the transit program, has been able to upgrade the fleet, over 125 vehicles, improve bus stops, and very importantly is the Low Country Rapid Transit Project, which is regionally significant as an alternative to I-26. We know that corridor is extremely congested. The Low Country Rapid Transit provides a bus rapid transit that would be outside of the flow of traffic and run down Rivers Avenue and serve from the fairgrounds area into downtown Charleston. And while that doesn't directly affect Mount Pleasant necessarily, it is important for the region. But funding for the sales tax program can also be implemented in increased route frequency, expanding route services. So those are all things that are considered or could be considered. We know that their service miles have drastically increased, along with passenger trips have increased significantly since 2004, with the sales tax being a very important funding mechanism for public transit. So what's changing? And I think we all know this, right? Since 2004, about a 33% increase in population. So that's about 110,000 residents just in Charleston County, not including Berkeley and Dorchester. We also know that vehicle registrations have gone up 41.5% since 2008. So we know there's more cars on the road. What do we project in the next 10 years? Another 42,000 people moving into Charleston County. More people, more cars, more traffic. So, call to action. Where are we now? As I mentioned, council's formed a special committee to consider this. They haven't decided if they're going to put this forward in November of 2026, if they're going to put forward a referendum or not. They want to hear from you. They want to hear from the community. Is this something that the community wants to do? So now we're undertaking our listening sessions, which is what we're here doing tonight. We will continue to do this at other municipalities, and then we'll host some of our own public meetings as well. With the idea, if we take that information back to county council in January, and then we work on project list in the early spring and develop a plan with the goal of developing a plan that is transparent and can be trusted by the public and identifies what will be accomplished over the 25 years of this program. So investment categories. First off, we're estimating about $4.25 billion would be raised over the life of this 25-year program. We've kind of broken that down into investment categories kind of for your consideration, with a thought process of beginning with the end in mind. So where would you like to see money invested so that at the end of the 25 years, we accomplish what we set out to do? And we've broken those down into Greenbelt program, as I mentioned, protecting, purchasing land, also access to waterways we've heard is important things. Is that something that's important to the town? Bike and ped, closing gaps, addressing safety issues, more sidewalks, more bike access. And we've allocated that as a specific category in this for your consideration. Before it was just in the infrastructure portion. Now we're actually breaking it out for your consideration. Public transit, as I mentioned, expanding services, Low Country Rapid Transit, and then roadways. So roadways could be encompassing of improving pavements. One of the things I like to mention is, I know our roads aren't great. There's potholes, they're not in great condition. But if you look at our percent of good roads as compared to the state at large, we're 73% better of good roads in good condition, which I know can be surprising because we see our roads in the condition that they're in. But can you imagine if we didn't have the half-cent sales tax, which funds $4 million annually into that program? Now, we do project that over the next 25 years, we need to up that, the $10 million that we're putting in combined with other funding. It needs to be up around $30 million just to maintain the overall condition index of the life of the program. And we have partnered with the town on that through the years to get a better bang for our buck. Rural safety, so improving rural roads. Intersection safety, so could there be allocations specific to address intersection safety? And then bottlenecks. So that could be widening of roads, that could be intersections, that could be operational changes like signal coordination, which I know the town has been very upfront with that. But could we regionally develop a program or a plan where all the signals in the region are connected? So finally, the call to action. So to get involved. So we've got our questionnaire. We'll have ongoing workshops. We've got an email address. People can stay informed through our website as well, listed there. And then a QR code here that's also in the leave behinds that hopefully you all have at your desk there. You can scan that QR code. And we would request from the town that by December 1st, if you so choose, to submit a list of your priorities. Specifically in those investment categories, what do you think those percentage, or what do you think is appropriate for the town? And then also getting into specific what projects would the town like to see that would be priorities for the town. And then we've got some questions there just to get you thinking. We want to know what have been the successes, what have been the challenges of the program. Are those categories that we put forward, are those the right categories, or do you know of others that should be added? So with that, I'll conclude my presentation. Happy to take questions if you have any.
Eric, just a
Yes.
quick question. They have had a couple of meetings. It's either 2 or 3 meetings where they've asked the mayors to come, and I let the chairman know that December 1st is not a great date for this body to try to have something done. So, the others, they have the election in November and they're sworn in January. We have new council members. And what's the date of committee day? What's the first Monday in December? It's past the 1st, I think. But what's that?
December 1st.
It is December 1st. So, we'll talk with council and everything, but I know from what I've been told that is not a hard and fast date, that if we don't get it in, it doesn't get considered. But just understand that's a difficult date for us.
Yes, sir. My apologies. I remember that conversation.
Sure. We could certainly do it later in December.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. Yes, sir. Ms. Randall.
Why should our citizens trust the county with more money after the main project that was supposed to happen for the town of Mount Pleasant was Highway 41, and it's been completely mismanaged and botched?
So I think to your point, we've heard the issue of trust, and that's what this outreach and listening session approach is different than what we've done in the past. It's a new approach to be transparent, to get the input from the public, and develop a plan that can be trusted. So whether someone's trust levels with specific people, we're trying to focus on a transparent plan that can be trusted and understood of what would be accomplished and what the priorities of that plan would be.
Okay, so there were some recent quotes in the paper with some elected officials of county council essentially laughing at the citizens of Mount Pleasant, not saying very nice things about this community. This is not something that you can answer, but however, I do think it would be wise for them to hear the message that a new sales tax will not get passed with the issues currently out here in the town of Mount Pleasant. If you look at the numbers of the last sales tax referendum that tried to be passed, particularly that Highway 41 area voted it down by an incredibly large margin. And so I think until those issues are addressed and they come to the table, I know it won't have my support, and I don't want to speak for anybody else, but anyway, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I can't speak for our elected officials. I will say that from a staff perspective, we have always had a great working relationship with your staff that are in
I
lockstep
understand that. Thank
moving
you.
forward.
Yeah, I get it.
Yes, sir.
Hard to follow up that act, but yes. I believe we voted the last time for what we're asking for, and we turned in our top 3, and I believe the top 1 I think totally got ignored. I mean, is that going to? I mean, I guess I'm following up with his question. So is that going to change? Because I believe number 1 was the Houston North Cutting 17 overpass.
That's the biggest one. Yeah.
And that was and
Not necessarily an overpass.
well,
Right. The intersection.
the
Just wanna get
intersection.
that off the
Yeah,
table.
I'm down. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, but that and that was ignored as well. So you're asking for our input. We rank them 1, 2, 3, and then they don't come back 1, 2, 3. So and maybe there's an explanation on what you guys see. from the county side, that matters. But if we're going to spend the time to put it on committee and spend the time to put it on council and use staff money and time, we would like that to be listened to as well. If we rank it number one, we're up here as elected officials. We believe we're representing the best interests of our citizens, and we think that's what they want. So we're obviously not going to talk about it tonight, but go ahead. Thank you. So we could,
yes, sir, we understand. I
Yeah.
think your staff's put together a great plan of priorities. The reason we ask again is maybe priorities have changed. Don't know, but and then ultimately county council makes the decision on the list, but we're trying to develop that transparent process.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chapman.
Well, first of all, Mr. Adams, thank you for coming and explaining this to us rather than just sending us some paper to look at, because that's what we had for the last one. Half-cent sales tax is something that is near and dear to my heart. I had the privilege of working with the state legislature to get the law passed that actually allows us to do this. That was the same law that allowed CARTA to get started after 3 attempts, one in 2000, one in 2002, and finally, as I said in here, 2004. Without the passage of this half-cent sales tax, the local option for CARTA dries up. Without the local option for CARTA, there is no federal funds, because without the local option, you are not entitled to federal funds. It's significant for me to try to work with county council to put together a plan that we as Mount Pleasant Council think is the best plan and to get it on the ballot. Certainly, the Houston Northcutt 17 is important, but there were some other projects that I also felt were important to Mount Pleasant. So we, as a council, need to get together, and there may be more than just the 3 that Councilmember Icofano mentioned. There may be some new ones. I know we showed the bike ped plans as significant, which they are very significant. County Council has helped us get to where we are now with some of these bike ped plans. So I want to make sure that that continues to be part of the plan. I would also say that if we can work together to do this, it'll be better than saying what we don't like. We need to say what we like and try to get those projects done. And so that's what I would pledge to do, to work with other members of council to come up with the plans that we think are most important to our community, and then work with county council to get those plans on. There's one other thing that I didn't see on the list of types of projects was drainage.
Right.
Obviously, drainage is very significant to Mount Pleasant, especially since losing the over $5 million from the federal funds to the Edwards Basin. So let's work together, come up with a plan, and then work with county council to get that plan involved. And please, let's try to support it, because there are a lot of people in this community that if they don't have CARTA, don't have a job. They can't get to work. So it's significant for our restaurants. It's significant for our hotels. It's significant for our residents that use CARTA. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Whitaker.
So we've talked about some of the infrastructure projects, but I'm wondering about the definition of green space and green belt. Do you guys define that? Do we define that? Are there restrictions on what can be included in that category?
So I actually have Eric Davis here with our Greenbelt program. Here he is. He can much better answer that question for you.
Thanks.
The county does have a comprehensive greenbelt plan. Ultimately, the Department of Revenue defines exactly what it can be used for. And right now it's primarily for acquisition of land or interest in land, so conservation easements as well as fee simple purchases.
Thank you.
One of the aspects that has been brought up, the leadership of this was Mayor Cogswell, is more of it, not to step on Eric's job, and you do a great job and all that, but let's say we all get behind it, and first of all, I have just encouraged the chairman to, what was the green space percentage? Was it like 13, 14 in the initial? Of course, there is no plan yet. This was a pie chart. It was an idea. It was 52%.
I believe
transportation and
13 was the average over the two.
And we'd like to see that 20. Because as we all know, our green infrastructure is part of our resiliency infrastructure too, and that's less money we need for pipes to put in the ground and all that. But we would like to find a way that there's a checklist for green belt spending, that if we meet those things and we check those boxes, we don't have to go through the Green Belt Advisory Board and then council to vote on money that we voted to give them in the first place. And it would be a quicker way, and it would take some of the regional politics that Mr. Rambo was talking about out of it, and let us have more control, which is, I know, a bad word, but control over where, if we can get behind this. And I don't know how, but I'd love to find a way for this to include undergrounding of power lines. Because this might be our only shot at a pool of $4 billion, for that kind of resiliency infrastructure. But anyway, we will have that conversation as a town, and I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you, Ms. Whitaker. Yes, sir, Mr. Tinky.
No, I echo the stormwater. I think it's important. We all know where the roads flood today, and those are real issues for us, and so it's important to get those taken care of. I do think the green belt, as far as being able to take cars off the road, is a very important part of it. And I do think whatever ways that you can see that we can work together and play well together in the sandbox, we're all open to it. I mean, I know we all are. And that way, because we will work together as a community to help the community. So any ways that you think are helpful with that, just let us know. We stand ready.
Thank you. Is that it? Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
One
sir.
thing. I talked to Councilman Sass, and I'll bring this up to council later, but and Mr. Rambo, you bring up a good point. I mean, maybe it's time to have a workshop with the county, invite them in. Let's hug it out a little bit. And, sometimes, well, they did, but I think, if we can get with Mr. Sass and he can try to rally them, and let's just bring everybody together for a three-hour workshop one day, and lock ourselves in a room and figure this out. And it helps humanize things, right? So, all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Thank you. Appreciate it, Eric. All right. That concludes item 4D. Item 5 is approval of minutes from October 6, 2025, special town council meeting, October 14th, special and regular council meetings, and the September 25 financial statement.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I worked with our clerk on a change that's strictly a Scrivener's error, but there was a change made. So just want to let people know that.
All right. Any other discussion? All right. All in favor of the motion to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The minutes are approved. Item 6 is public comment. If you're here to make a public comment, please come forward when your name is called, name and address in 2.5 minutes, please. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one speaker signed up this evening, Brian Stress.
Good evening, everybody. Brian Stress, 545 Veranda View. As I mentioned, just wanted to introduce myself. I have entered myself as a candidate for the vacancy on the Board of Zoning Appeals Committee. A little bit about myself. I've been in construction for 32 years in the industry. Started my career as a laborer, worked myself up through the ranks from laborer to carpenter, foreman with the union, superintendent, national construction manager, and senior project director now. I know my experience would be valuable for the position, not only because of my background to be able to assess and design and details on plans, but to also offer alternatives for any projects that may arise for any individuals, and be able to work with community members to help those projects progress. So I want to thank you for consideration.
Was that it?
That's all I have, sir.
Is there anyone to speak that didn't get the chance to sign up? All right, public comment is closed. Item 7 is consent agenda items. There are no consent agenda items. Item 8 is planning, new business, and I'd just like to remind everybody that items 1 through 3 are all first reading.
Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Move to approve item 8A1.
Second.
Okay, have a motion to approve and a second. This is 6 acres. This is the annexation of 2 parcels on Chandler Road. And we're in discussion, but if you just give us an idea where Chandler Road is, please.
Yes, sir. So let me zoom out there. There you can see it's just past Pepper Plantation, across from Bowles Bay. It is outside of the urban growth boundary. Now I'll zoom in a little bit. This particular parcel is actually a little over a mile off of Highway 17. It is in the county. It is in the 10-mile historic district. It does come to you with a recommendation for approval from both the commission and planning committee. While it is in the 10-mile historic district right now, it's adjacent to properties that are zoned RC2. They are requesting RC2, so it is an appropriate zoning. And in the county right now, it will have the same density. However, the county is looking at changing their density to make it in rural residential to make it 1 unit per 1 acre. So the applicant does understand that he's going to be 1 per 3 in the RC2, and that will not change. And again, that comes to you with a recommendation for approval.
Yes, sir. Ms. Tinky.
I personally would move to defer. That's how I'll vote, because I think it's important I think November the 20th, the counties will be voting on these areas as well. And it has a historic overlay, so it reminds me a little bit about if somebody came to the old village and said, let's take this 6 acres out of the old village and make it something else. I personally think we should wait and see what the county does before we move forward with this, and work in parallel with them both on the historic designation as well as the zoning.
Yes, Ms. Reed, I just want to make sure I understand this correctly. It's currently zoned 3 units per acre in the county, or no?
In the county, it's rural residential, which right now is 1 unit per 3 acres. They have had first reading of their historic overlay zoning. So it's already historic in a historic district. It will remain in that historic district unless it's annexed into the town. But what the county is looking at is that overlay zoning. And like I said, that got first reading. It will get third reading. And the first reading passed with an amendment to increase their rural residential density from 1 unit to 1 acre.
And this, our RC2 zoning, that's 1 unit per 3 acres as well? Yes, sir. So it's a comparable zoning as to what it currently is in the county?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Just point of clarification, the motion on the table is only for the annexation.
Yes.
Just not the zone.
Yeah, I understand. I just wanted to make sure I had the facts straight.
Okay.
If nobody else has their hand up, my question is, okay, which one of these is the one we're looking at? 6.5 acres.
Mm-hmm.
Which one is the one applying?
So it's portions of 2 parcels. So it's this one here. I don't know if you can see and then there's that little sliver up there. And so the proposal is to annex those 2 in. And here's what that would look like. And then add it to the adjacent RC2 parcel. And that would be the 6.5 acres, and you would get 1 per 3, so you could get 2 units out of it.
Okay. Everything to the left along Chandler Road. Is that county or town?
It is all county. That's correct.
So we're going to have this little isolated island that we're going to bring into the town and provide services to for 2 houses,
Well, we already have, this is all town here.
right?
So that's already in the town with the residents and zoned RC2. So as are these 2 houses here.
So how many houses is that?
1, 2, 3, I think.
So there's going to be 5 houses in the town. And we got to go out there and pick up trash and do all those things. I'm just, y'all, I'm not for annexation's sake. I don't know that the taxes on these would be enough to, cover the services that we provide. So I'm leaning towards being a no vote on this. Yes, sir, Mr. Tinker.
I'll just reiterate, we have a letter from 10 Mile. We have signatories on it. The neighbors would like to have it stay in the county and the settlement areas and really respect their wishes. And I think it's precipitous, again, as we were last time, to vote something in without really listening to the will of the county and to the people.
Yes, ma'am. That's right.
You mentioned there are already 2 houses that are just past this that are in the town.
Yeah, if you can, let me go past. If you can see, this is in the town, this is in the town, and this is in the town.
Okay, so we're already going out there to provide services for those 3. So this would just add 2 more residences.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we're already going out there.
All right. The motion is to approve. This is on item A1 for the annexation. Again, this is first reading. We get another shot at this next month. We might have to do a roll call because I think it's going to be a split vote.
Mr. Brownstein.
Yes.
Mr. Brownstein votes yes. Mr. Chapman.
Yes.
Mr. Chapman votes yes. Ms. Crosby.
No.
Ms. Crosby votes no. Ms. Hyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Hyatt votes yes. Mr. Icofano.
Yes.
Mr. Icofano votes yes. Mr. Rambo.
Yes.
Mr. Rambo votes yes. Mr. Tinky.
Nay.
Mr. Tinky votes no. Ms. Whitaker.
Yes.
Ms. Whitaker votes yes. Mayor Heaney.
No.
Mayor Heaney votes no. 6-3.
6-3, the motion carries. All right.
First reading, ordinance number 25049.
We will see that next month. All right. Item 2 is.
Move to approve item 2.
Second.
All right. So tell us again, this would be how many units per acre?
It'd be 1 unit per 3 acres, and they're looking at bringing in 6.5 acres. So it would be essentially 2 new units out there.
And it matches the county's density,
It matches the county's current zoning.
Yes.
That's correct.
which the county's actually thinking about increasing
That's
density.
correct.
So
And we
by
we let
bringing
the
this in and
applicant
zoning
know.
it this way,
Right.
we're actually saving density, essentially.
If that overlay gets approved, that's correct. And we had that conversation with the applicant, and they wanted to come on in with RC2
So it'll be one unit
per 3 acres.
per 3 acres.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this is simply the zoning. All right. We have
Yes.
motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion carries.
First reading, ordinance number 25050.
Item number 3, please.
Yes, sir. So this is an ordinance to amend 3 different sections of our zoning code. I'm going to start with the height and the detached accessory structures. Let's see. So this first section applies.
Mayor, I'll recommend approval for item 3.
Okay.
Second.
All right. The motion is to approve. We are in discussion. If you'll just continue for us, please.
Okay. So the first section would apply, as you can see here, in the Old Village Historic District. Specific to the Old Village, it would lower the maximum heights for detached accessory structures back down to 20 feet, or the height of the principal structure. It would also increase the setbacks for a detached accessory structure from 6 feet to 10 feet. This particular section here applies to all detached accessory structures throughout the town, so outside of the Old Village, and to the the ordinance amendments here are in this table. So what we've done is add footnotes. Right now, you can have a 6-foot side and rear setback. If you were to keep your height at 25 feet, but any portion of that over 18 feet, you have to meet a 10-foot setback. We've also added in the fact that you can no longer, you already can go up to 850 feet there, but you can also cannot exceed that 40% of your primary structure. So it's just an added level of kind of keeping the ADU in the same mass and scale as your primary structure. And I can go ahead and talk about BAR as well if you'd like.
Mayor, I have a question
Yes, sir.
before you move on
Yes, sir.
from the accessory structures. Outside of the Old Village Historic District, the accessory structure is capped at what, 25 feet or no taller than the primary structure?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. That's footnote number 2 down there. So in all cases, whether you're in the Old Village or outside, your maximum height of your detached accessory structure cannot exceed your primary structure height.
And is this only the old Mount Pleasant area, or is this town-wide?
It's town-wide. It's town-wide. Okay, and then BAR, again, this already applies to the Old Village Historic District. It's been in place for many years. The proposal and the amendment would extend it to Old Mount Pleasant, and I'll show you those boundaries in a minute, but the BAR would apply to new construction of residences and additions and accessory use buildings, any accessory use that's above over 144 square feet. There are some minimums and maximums to this that are built in, and really this is about, in those older neighborhood character, keep maintaining that neighborhood character of these older neighborhoods, and looking at the size, mass, and scale of these rebuilds and additions that we're seeing. So
I
this
think
is based.
just worth saying,
Yes, sir.
since we have been maneuvering with this for quite a while. These are areas that do not have HOAs, and it falls upon the town to try to protect and give these neighborhoods the protection that I would say just about every other neighborhood in town. Of course, some of the older ones don't. Other older ones, to protect the character of their neighborhood and to have, where you don't have a 1,500, 1,650 square foot house, and then right next door somebody builds a 4,500 square foot house in the neighborhood. It just looks hodgepodge. So,
And Mayor,
but we're also trying to protect their rights to sell. I had some people that live on one of these streets today say, "Don't make it too restrictive," and I don't think we're making it too restrictive.
and this also helps with resiliency as
Yes,
well.
right. Thank you very much. Sorry. Thank you for.
No, that's perfectly fine. So these are the boundaries of our neighborhood preservation overlay district. We did look, the commission and committee both looked at whether it should extend to these other neighborhoods. Ultimately, the decision was made to have it apply to this area in highlighted, so just up to the Ben Sawyer Coleman. So what this looks like then is an amendment to the section of the ordinance dealing with the neighborhood preservation overlay district. And we literally just took the language from the Old Village Historic District ordinance, moved it over into this section, make it apply to that specific area, Old Mount Pleasant neighborhood. And then the one thing we did remove was in the Old Village, there's a requirement that 10% of your BAR has to be a front porch. That did not make sense in this area because there are other regulations that apply in this area, which is within that neighborhood preservation overlay district. So those didn't work together. So we did remove that requirement. And then we also included right here, if you look at the Old Village BAR, your minimum house size is 2,500. That's because all the lots in Old Village are zoned R1 or R2, mostly R2. In this extended area, we have some R3, R4, and PD. So we've added in that there's a minimum house size of 1,800 square feet, and that's in proportion to the lot sizes of those R3, R4 districts. So those are the only changes to the meat of the BAR ordinance that we carried over from the Old Village Historic District. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Again, this is first reading.
Yes, sir.
So if there are any details, I know these numbers can make your head spin. You know, you look at the things about cathedral ceilings and all that kind of stuff, building area, but if there's some numbers, we can hammer them out at second reading between now and then. This is simply first reading. Yes, sir, Ms. Tinky.
It's a great start. There was question or observation that if the building height of the accessory dwelling could not as high, couldn't be any higher than the existing structure, that the houses could be torn down and would exacerbate demolitions. But I think one of the discussions that I wanted to know where it is was to say that anything 50 years and older would have an extra layer of protection, so it wouldn't automatically be destroyed. And so where did that go in the discussions at the commission and the committee level, that 50 years? Because it's easy to show it, but you can just show your title and see that and give an extra layer of protection.
Yeah, that's a great question, and we talked a lot about that with the commission. And you're right, it's easy to see. We know how many houses in that area are at least 50 years and older. It's about half of them. The challenge was, what are those review criteria? Because this area in Old Mount Pleasant, they don't go to the HDPC. So if we were to come up with some sort of criteria to look at, to give it, a little extra scrutiny, who would do that? What would the criteria be? So we kind of, these were some easier fixes. We never really got beyond that discussion of, we can identify these older structures, but then what do? Do we send all of those to the commission?
I think it'd be a good one to look at, because so many of these have been torn down because they don't have a layer of protection. So if we could figure out some simplified way of doing it, perhaps other areas have done it with the mid-century modern homes, etc.
Sure.
It'll be helpful, because they're just going down right after one after another. So we need that protection, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I agree with some of the changes in this zoning code. I would say my overarching concern is that these changes were prompted by a relatively small group of citizens months ago, and we haven't really heard much public comment since then. So I'd really encourage the people who live in Old Mount Pleasant specifically to pay close attention to what's being proposed here, and to hopefully give us some feedback on it now that we're kind of at a stage where it's relatively finalized. The one thing I definitely agree with is the building area ratio. It's been a concern of mine, seeing the scale of some of the homes that are being built in Old Mount Pleasant. I do have concerns about the height of the accessory structure not exceeding the height of the home. I think in some instances that likely will encourage somebody to demolish the home in order to get that height on the accessory structure. I also think that, there's a lot of folks in Old Mount Pleasant who have lived here for a long time. Their kids are growing up. If their kids are going to be able to afford to live in Mount Pleasant, it might be an accessory structure on the person's property. And so I'm a little weary about that aspect of this plan. And I'd like to really hear from the public before our final reading next month on this, because I think it's, it's something we've all been discussing, but we haven't really received much public input about it to date. And I'm also a little weary about the idea, although I don't want to see homes demolished, I'm not sure creating a de facto historic district in this area is going to be very popular with the residents. I just think that people really need to pay attention to some of these changes as they contemplate what their future plans are with the property, whether it's remaining there and adding on or building an accessory structure, or whether it's eventually selling. These could have a dramatic impact on the value of the property. So I'd really encourage residents to take a close look at these and please let us know what you think.
Yes.
One last thing. I agree there shouldn't be a historic district, and also agree with your point. How many homes are we talking about in Old Mount Pleasant? How many structures?
I want to say there were about 2,400, 2,500.
So
in that
2,400. I think it's important enough to, when in doubt, ask the customer. And so I think between the first and the second reading, 2,400 is not a lot. And so I think if we had a simple flyer or something that went to them, we communicate them in the best possible way. I know Mount Pleasant Waterworks does a series of things. They put a sign up, they put communication out in the form of a flyer, they send an email if they have it, and with some schematics. Y'all did a great presentation to the Planning Commission, did an excellent one to the committee, where you showed how these things could actually work out, and you showed how they would have freedom to build larger houses. It wouldn't be restricted. They still could add on to their houses, etc. But I think if we have some type of good communication put together to them, then at least we've done everything we can to let people know, so we don't have something happen after the fact and people said, well, we didn't know about it. You know, we've really over communicated it. And I think simple things like happened with engineering did with the Edwards drainage plan was excellent. They put a tent out, they answered questions on the weekend, they put flyers out, they talked to people, and then you had really buy-in because really people felt like they had been heard. So anything like that I think would be great.
All right, the motion is to
I have a
approve.
question. I have
Yes,
a
sir.
question. Sorry. So could you go back? There's part of this is the entire town as well. Did you state that?
The height, the increase in setbacks for the height of detached accessory structures, that would apply to all of town. BAR would not apply.
Right, and that changed again on the entire town again.
Yeah. So all of town, this would apply. So right now you can have a detached accessory structure at 25 feet height, 6 feet off your property line. What this says is if any portion of that over 18 feet, you have to meet that 10-foot side and rear setback. So it's a step back the higher you go. And then also the maximum height shall not exceed the height of the principal structure.
I mean, we just went through a zoning change. I think this is a very large sweeping change to the citizens of Mount Pleasant. And I think the citizens need some more time to see this, and the outreach needs to be real. I mean,
It is first reading.
Yeah, I know it's first reading, but I'm going to be a no vote because I don't feel our citizens have been given enough time. This is a very large impact on a person's home value that people rely on. And I know how first reading works. You can't make changes, and that second reading comes up quick, and it just goes. I think with the tree ordinance, so we've done a lot of things to people's properties lately, and I'm starting to hear it. And I think we're taking a lot of rights away from people. I could agree with. I hear the setbacks. There's some things I agree with on this, and there's some things that I think the citizens need to be able to come out and talk about it. And I don't know that I'm comfortable having them both on the same agenda item anyway. One is town sweeping, and one section of the town. I don't know why they didn't actually come separately. So for the lack of information that our citizens are going to get on their home, their single largest investment, to be given 30 days, I don't think it's going to be a very good time. So for that, I'm a no vote, although I agree with some of the things on here.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chapman.
Yes, sir. Mr. Icofano, the committee in reviewing this has gotten a lot of comments where these large accessory dwelling units are right next to the property line, and you can see in your neighbor's windows. That's the whole reason for making this specific smaller aspect be town-wide, to keep people from building these large accessory dwelling units next to the property line, and then being able, whoever's in that accessory dwelling unit, being able to look in their neighbor's window. So that's the whole reason for it. We needed some kind of restriction.
I agree with the setback stuff, and I've seen it, and I think we should also be including some things we could talk about. Obviously, we can't do it, but how windows are placed and things like that. If you're going to be looking over somebody's property, maybe you can't they do what do they call that when the window's higher? They have a name for it. I don't know what it is. I'm not in planning. What is it? What is it? There you go. Something like that if you're looking down on somebody's property. So I think there's some things we could do with that as well. And I agree with the 10 feet. I just think, I think the public needs a little bit more time than 30 days is my largest concern. This is most people's single most, their largest investment is their property. And that's what I fear.
Ms. Hyatt?
I would just say this has been a topic of conversation for years, for decades. People in these neighborhoods begging us to protect the character of their neighborhoods. And so I think we're finally taking action. And so I have no hesitation for these suggested items for us to approve.
Okay. All right, the motion is to approve, and this is first reading. This is item A3. All in favor of the motion to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
All right, motion carries.
First reading, ordinance number 25051.
Item 4, this is another one of these vested rights.
Move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Right, we have a motion to approve. Did I hear a second? Second. Just for a point of order, let's ask our attorney to describe this. This is sort of we're one of the only ones that votes on, I believe, this, right? Others are granted by staff, yeah.
Some are. The originating body, wherever it comes from, would be the one to extend it. So, for example, if it came from one of our other boards or commissions, such as DRB, they would vote on it. In this case, this is a planned development, and impact. It came from an impact assessment, so that's why it's before council. And as you are aware, sir, the state comes up, and we talk about this all the time. The state can't tell, the legislature cannot tell you how to vote, but they can tell you what the result will be if you vote no. So that is the way it works.
Okay.
Mr.
Yes, sir.
I think I asked a version of this at committee, but I'm gonna ask it differently. Can we not write in our town ordinance that by our town ordinance that these are approved at a staff level if they meet the requirements in state law?
Sir, yes, sir. This was brought up a few years ago, and I believe I don't think there's anything in the state code in the Planning Act that would prevent that from happening. But we'll be happy to look at that.
Okay, I would
bring
like
that
to.
committee if you'd like.
I don't know if that a proper committee is.
Oh, committee, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
No.
Right. If the proper committee is PJL or planning, since it's
could
planning,
be either or both. Yes, sir.
I would. We'll say PJL. If PJL could please take a look at that, because I think it's silly that it's voted on, and then also when you have commissions of citizens, and they might get public pressure or input on something like this that could get the town sued when it's a slam dunk lawsuit. I don't know why. If there's really not a choice to be made, why do we vote?
Yes, sir.
So anyway, okay, thank you.
I agree. All right. So I did not write down. We didn't have a motion, did we?
There's a motion.
Yeah, we
and a
did.
second.
Okay.
Yeah, I
To
made a
approve.
motion.
That's right. Thank you. I just didn't write it down. All right. So the motion is to approve, and y'all understand the situation. So all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. B, there are no planning old business items. Section 9 is committee action items. There are none. Section 10, council business, new business. A1, adoption of a resolution by the town of Mount Pleasant authorizing a lease purchase agreement with TD Equipment Finance in the amount of $5,075,000.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion to approve and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Item 2 is first reading. Again, first reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 110 of the Business License Code of Mount Pleasant Ordinance with the updated class schedule and other changes.
I would like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
And this was discussed in Finance Committee. It's reviewed every 2 years. There's several codes that actually are downgraded, so they will pay less taxes, but it will be revenue neutral because new businesses are coming into the town as well. So it's revenue neutral and actually a decrease for several people.
Okay.
And there might be an increase for like one person.
Huh.
Anyway.
Yes. Any
Yes.
comment? Yes.
Yes. During our committee meeting, there was some discussion about the requirement that nonprofits get a business license, and there were some, I guess, questions about whether or how that would affect churches that run daycare operations. So just wanted to ask Ms. Harness if she's been able to research that, and if so, what the town has found.
Yes, we did research that particular instance, and we do not have any churches that would be affected in the town. So that one comes off the board. At December Finance Committee, we will come back to you with some specific examples of what that could look like for other businesses, though. But churches and daycares was not a good example to use. So
Okay,
that's
very good. Thank you.
affected.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
First reading, ordinance number 25052.
Section B, old business. There are no council old business items. Section 11, executive session for A, legal and contractual, legal advice and possible action pertaining to town-owned property on Faison Road. B is personnel, consideration of applications to serve on the Planning Commission. There's one vacancy. And consideration of applications to serve on the Board of Zoning Appeals, for which there is one vacancy. Do we have a motion to go into executive session for the reasons stated?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Before we vote, council may take action on any item, including any subsection of any section listed on an executive session agenda or discussed in an executive session during a properly noticed meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are in executive session. We will go upstairs. Just as a note, everybody knows we'll rearrange the seating next month. Now that we got a new mayor pro tem and newly elected council member. All right. Please note that we have reconvened from executive session. No votes were cast. No action was taken. Do we have some motions resulting from the information and deliberation? Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to deny contract extension for Cameron Property Company LLC.
Second.
All right. Motion is to deny the extension. It has been seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion carries. Next, please.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to appoint Corey Barber to the Planning Commission.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Mr. Barber is appointed to the Planning Commission. Mr. Chapman.
Yes, sir. On the Board of Zoning Appeals, or BOZA, I would like to recommend that we appoint Brian Stress for Board of Zoning Appeals.
We have a second. Any discussion? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Stress is appointed to BOZA. There being no other agenda items, no other actions, we stand adjourned. How's that? Better. All right.
Beat that